Hi everyone, welcome back to Live Darts TV. We're here, quarterfinals of the BetVictor World Matchplay. Myself and Paul. Last night, unbelievable drama. Again, the session wasn't quite as good as the night before, but I think the drama was up there.
Yeah, well, it was never going to be as good as the night before. I mean, we've got to be realistic, but it was up to the players to turn up and show that they were going to try and take it to that level. I'm just really looking forward to these quarterfinals because there's a fresh feel to it. It's almost like this is a new era for the World Matchplay. We've had 25 years of absolute brilliance, but now it's time for the next chapter.
No, definitely. I'll say we start off Chizzy against Jeffrey does one. I think this will be a really close game. Chizzy showed enough fight and grit against Michael. Well, Jeffrey's been Jeffrey this tournament. The absolute sensation.
Well, maybe that is what we're going to see in the next few years. Jeffrey's just been Jeffrey. But ordinarily what I'd say is that when Chizzy wants to win games, he has to have a good start. And more often than not, he will take care of business when he gets out the blocks. But everything's changed since the Michael Smith game. I don't know what has happened to Dave Chisnell, but now we know that when he is majorly down, he is capable of lifting the level and just erasing a deficit. So all of a sudden we're asking more questions about Dave and we're getting more answers. If anything, Dave Chisnell has just answered a lot of critics because the demeanour of him during the early part of the Michael Smith game, a lot of people would probably say that he was down, he was out and he was gone, but he was very much up and he was very much in.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, I think there'll be a bundle of 180s in this game. The actual result, I think, is a pick-em. Who do you like? What do you like? I think there's not a lot to call between them, but I think that treble 20 will get an absolute barrage.
Yeah, I think there might have to be a board change in the middle of this one because Dave Chisnell and Michael Smith served up a potential massive amount of 180s. They did. I think they got 18 or 19. I predicted 22, so I was pretty close. But Jeffrey Deswan has got the capabilities of scoring a lot of 180s. But with Dave Chisnell, he's got the expectation of hitting lots of 180s. So I agree with you. I think this game will be won on the scoring. If Jeffrey brings the same kind of darts that he has the last couple of days, he's going to trouble Dave. But ultimately, I think, I probably said this the other day, didn't I? I think maybe Jeffrey's dream might be over at this stage. I'm not going to second guess the kid. His attitude is got him here for me. He doesn't look scared. He looks like he's having fun. And he's doing, you know, based on the fact that the Open Championship was last week, he's almost doing what Rory did as a kid. And he's doing what Rory isn't doing now. He's just going up there with no pressure and doing his thing. And it is a tough one to call, but I am going to completely come off the fence and say that Chisnell's going to win it.
Nice. Second quarter-final of the evening, we've got Gary Anderson against Joe Cullen. How can we back against Gary? Is there any reason to back against Gary?
No. Not at all. I mean, Joe is one of my favourite players to watch because he's got charisma in abundance and he's Premier League all over. These kinds of performances and these runs are going to do Joe Cullen a massive amount of help if he wants to get in the Premier League in the next few seasons. He's broken the top 16 now, which I'm absolutely thrilled for him because he's worked really hard for it. A lot of guys in the past have broken the top 16 without having to push. They've just had that massive win and it's propelled them up the rankings. But Joe's had to work really hard to get into that top echelon of the game, and he's there now. It's his responsibility to stay there now, which is probably even harder. But ultimately, does he have the game to beat Gary in this mood? Yes, he does, because he showed in the game that he played in the last 16 that when he needs to find that upper level, that 110, he does have it. But ultimately against Gurney, he did it at a canter. He wasn't under any stress or any pressure. It's a different Gary Anderson that we've seen this week in Blackpool. He looks bullish. No pun intended, of course. But Gary looks almost ready to lift what could be the hardest one for him to win.
I was going to say, against Barney, when he was 5-1 down, in previous years, I think Gary would have just thrown the towel and gone, oh, I'm done here again, I can't win here. But he literally rolled those sleeves up and dug himself out of the trenches.
Do you know what? I think sometimes with Gary, it's not so much about whether we question his ability or where he's playing. I think sometimes it's about who he's playing against. He can lift his level for certain players. We know he does it against Michael. We know very recently that he does it against Barney, and he was able to do it against Phill. can he do it against Joe? He may look at this match and say, do you know what, I don't have to be as nasty, I don't have to have that blood boiling aspect, but I'm going to take you back to a European Tour event a little while ago, and Joe Cullen did something to Gary Anderson that a lot of people have forgotten about. He bageled him 6-0. Who does that to Gary Anderson?
There's not many.
Nobody. Joe Cullen will remember that victory, and he will try and channel that kind of performance in order to get himself the jump on Gary. But I think we will know a lot more about where this game stands after 10 legs. It's been the tail of the tape with Gary so far. We knew where he stood against Stephen, we knew where he stood against Raymond, and it all might boil down to where his mentality is after the 10th leg.
Betting wise, I'm heavily on Gary. I'm going for Gary King of the Oki, win most 180s and highest finish.
It's a risky one, that,
It is,
Phil.
I'm going clean sweep.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's already had a 170 in a tournament. Who's to say he can't get another one? And he loves a showpiece shot, does Joe. And I'm not so sure about the King of the Yorkie. I think Gary will win the game. I'd like to think this is going to be dramatic. I'd like to see more of the Corey Cadby game, Joe Cullen, against Gary Anderson. That is a game I would watch with a cup of tea and a nice biscuit.
Definitely. Well, that's today's preview of the BetVictor World Matchplay. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.